Thank you very much for joining the Berlin Power BI user group. Today's session will be presented by the fantastic Bernard, who will be talking about automating calculation groups with C# scripts. Those of you who know Bernard know he is a bit of a C# script tabular editor guru, for want of a better word. So I'm looking forward to see what he has to say. And with that, Bernard, I hand it over to you to wow us with your wisdom, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Fantastic.
Thank you, everyone. And yeah, thank you for coming. So I'll share my screen right now. Hope you can see it.
Yes.
This is just to introduce a little bit myself. I'm an MVP since last year, August, and I work in a small consultancy. I work, well, actually, a tiny bit of that company is mine, so I can say I have a company as well. And we do consulting and basically BI stuff, and mostly Power BI, at least on my site. And yeah, as Ben was saying, I like C# scripts a lot, and I hope that you will like them as well by the time we finish this presentation. Before I jump right in, I would like to just share a little bit the options that we have with C# scripting and why the one that we're going to see is awesome. Okay. So mostly people might only know the possibility of writing C# scripts in Tabular Editor 2, yeah, which is free, which is nice, but there is certain limitations. Yeah, you can only edit one file. There's almost no IntelliSense. Forget about the IntelliSense for InScript classes. It's not easy to reuse code, and well, and so forth. Yeah, and Tabular Editor 3 is much better. Yeah, it has some nice IntelliSense, but there is some limitations when you start using different libraries like Visual Basic or any extra extension that you need to do your stuff, like open an Excel file or stuff like this. Then you are pretty blind of what you have to type there to make things work, and that makes it very, very difficult. And then there's always people say, yeah, Visual Studio Code is better because it's lighter and not so much of a hog to the resources and so on. And that might be true, but from what we'll see today, we'll be creating a DLL file, which is very easy, we'll see. But I haven't managed to do that with Visual Studio Code. So if somebody knows how to do it, please teach me. I spent like 10, 15 minutes Googling and trying things, didn't work. So right now, the only way I see it is using Visual Studio. And then, but this you can use for free. There's a community version, and Tabular Editor 2 is also free. So it's okay. No big deal, no licenses that you need. Okay, so now that we got this thing sorted out, I'll just share real quick. I posted this on my blog recently. And this is basically the content that we'll see now in action. Yeah, so you don't need to take notes step by step of everything you need to do because it's listed here in this block. Of course, it's nicer if somebody shows you. So that's what I'm gonna do today. All right. So the idea here, I have a very basic report. Ben doesn't like it because it's not using DNEP, but let's say that you want to create a calculation group. Yeah, why not? It's always better with a calculation group. So in this calculation group, we can do many things. I'll just do a very simple use case I did another time, so I don't get lost too much. What we'll do is just a calculation group that will show only the highest value of a chart. Yeah, so it will hide all the data labels that are not the highest value. Okay, because it's a good example of a calculation group that is not too complex, and also that it depends on the elements of the model. But the logic, you could use it like in many reports, right? But the thing is that you cannot just copy and paste the code because there is these little things that are elements of your model. So what we'll try to do is to get a code that will allow us to say, yeah, but now the column is this one and that one is this other one, and boom, and it will have the nice calculation group that we can reuse in any model that we like. Okay, so but first we'll build it by hand because before you run, you must walk, right? So we'll create a calculation group. We'll call these labels, for instance. And the column, I also always rename it to labels with the same name. And now let's get into the calculation items. Yeah, so here what I'm doing is I'm slicing by the country. Yeah, store country. And this is a sum measure. I don't care. Very good. So what I want to do, I need a calculation item. This is a max only, max value only. So from a value perspective, I don't want to change anything, right? So I'll just go with, make it bigger. Here I can do it. Selected measure, correct? And yet, the format string is that the one we want to change, right? So here, what we'll do is first, we need to get the max value. What's the max value on the chart? Oh, sorry. So we need to calculate max x over what? In this case, is store country. Yeah? So we'll do the values of store country. So where is this? Store country. We'll drag it here. Very good. This is our iterator table. And our iterating expression is just selected measure. Correct? Okay, so now I'll close this. And here the modifier for our calculate expression, let me make this bigger, is all selected. We'll do it just from store because just in case. All right, so now I'll close calculate. That's the max value, right? Now, let's our current value. That's the easier one, right? This is just selected measure. And now we the result that we have here in the format string expression is the actual format string that we want to use, correct? So what we'll do is an if statement. If current value equals max value, then we are at the maximum point, data point, right? And in that case, we just want to keep the selected the format string that we have already. So selected measure format string. Yes. Now, if we're not there, what are we going to do? I could just leave the blank, but then sometimes the negative values show up. So what I'll do instead is I'll submit this format string. This is kind of completely exterminates any data label that you may have. So this is our result, and then we'll return the result. Okay, we'll format this. Very good. And now we'll save back to the model. Yeah, so that at least we know where we start. Yeah, refresh now. Very good. We have our labels calculation group over here. And now what we'll do is we'll add that as a visual level filter. And if this, okay, and we see that we only have the value here. Okay, if I change, let's see if I have, it's always United States. Okay, whatever. But the margin maybe? No, it's always United States has a, oh, okay, Canada has a higher margin percent. Now it's this data label showing. Okay, so it works. It works only, of course, over country store country. Okay, so you would like to say, okay, now that I know this trick, I want to apply it over and over again without typing all this code over and over again. So here's when things get interesting, because as I was saying, if we try to type here, this is a terrible experience. Believe me, because I tried that. And at some point you don't know C# or you don't know this extension thing. And then you have to look for the C# snippets and nothing fits, and then you end up asking Daniel, and well, so that is a better way than I want to share with you. So first of all, you need to get yourself a Visual Studio. Community is fine. And make sure that you install the .NET development module. Yeah, that will allow you to create the C# projects, and it will allow you to clone the repository that I have. Wait a minute, that I have over here. Yeah, this is the repository that has all the work, or almost all the work done. So with just some settings that depend on your machine, we'll just do these extra settings, and then we're free to go and have a wonderful coding experience. So I'll go back to here, Visual Studio. I'll get this URL, and I'm come here, say, okay, I want to clone repository. And now repository, this is what I have to type here. And now I'll say, okay, I'll put it, you need a new folder. Yeah, so repository, whatever. And say, okay, this is the folder where I want to clone this. Yeah. Okay. Descriptive in Visual Studio, correct. Clone. And it will start like downloading all the files. Okay, and you might see this in this way. Oh, or sometimes it stays with the solution there, and then you need to double click on it. Or if you're lucky enough, it will just already open the solution, and you'll see that we have 2 projects. Yes. And let me see, because I just realized that maybe I don't have the zoom it thing. Okay, so here we have the 2 different projects. They are both so C# classes. Yeah, very good. Okay. Okay. As you see, I'm not so good at zoom it. So, but this is not yet perfect. Yeah, because if we look here, we'll see that maybe both or maybe just one of them of these references are not working. Yeah, these references point to a couple files that come with a tabular editor 2 that we can reference because it's open source. So we don't have any AULA thing to worry about. And we need to fix that before we can start doing stuff. Yeah, because if we open the file, well, we'll see that some parts might not show nicely. Yeah, you see, we get some errors saying, oh, I don't know who tabular editor is and so on. And maybe we don't have some other stuff. I don't know. No, but mostly, I know method declaration. There's a couple things that are not working fine, but it's okay. This is calculated. So what we'll do now is fix this too. So for that, we go into the references of one of the models, then we'll have to repeat for the other one. And we'll say we want to add a reference. Yeah, here I have them both already. So remember, but it's not too difficult to get there. So one of them is just in the program files, the 32-bit folder. You look for tabular editor, and it's the exec.exe file. Okay, this is easy one. Good. And the other one is a bit trickier. But if you remember to put app data like this, okay, then we need to go one up because we don't want roaming, we want local. And then we look for a tabular editor, the regular one. And there it is. This is the DLL. Yeah, so you see it's not super complicated. Very important. Even if you have tabular editor 3 and you never use tabular editor 2, you need to open at least once before you do that, because otherwise this folder is not there. So not installing is enough. You need to actually open the file, either the program, and then this will be created, and then you can reference them. Okay, beautiful. Now we have this, and we'll repeat again for the general functions project. Add reference, we add both. Okay, and now we still have some things. Yeah, let's see if we can see it. Where's the problem? So here, for example, you see we have these red squiggly lines, but this also is not such a big problem. What we need to do, and which is actually something that we would have to do later anyway, is to build this project. Yeah, building this project will generate DLL files that contain all this code, and that will come in handy. Yeah, for a reason that we'll see in a moment. So we right-click on the solution, say build. You could do it also for individual projects. Actually, we just need the 𝐻Scripts, but since we want to fix everything, it doesn't really make any harm if you build the whole solution. So it all went nice. And you see that now we have some extra stuff here in the references, and especially the squiggly lines are gone, and we have everything beautifully there. Yeah, this is some reference that allow us to manipulate code with code, which is beautiful. Yeah, because what we'll do is to say, okay, come to this file and look for a procedure and then give me the code and stuff. So we need some programmatic way of seeing the actual files that we have here. And to do that, we need these references that they do come in Tabular Editor 3, but they do not come in Tabular Editor 2. So the thing is that this code, you could just copy to Tabular Editor 3, and then you could just replace here with the paths of these two files, the CS, whoops, sorry. So the 𝐻Script CS file and the general function CS file. Yeah, you can just go here, copy the full path, paste it here, then you uncomment these two lines. Of course, you uncomment all these other lines, and it already works on Tabular Editor 3. Yeah, but I want to make this for everyone. So it took quite a lot of extra work to figure out how to make it work in Tabular Editor 2. And I succeeded. So that's what I'm going to tell you now. So the thing is, okay, those files are not there. But in Tabular Editor 2, you can reference to one DLL file. And there's the DLL, if it uses some other references but are in the same folder, they will find each other. So when we reference that, yeah, what I want to show you here, if we open this folder, I didn't do C# before that, right? So don't worry about it. You can get it as well. So see, wait, where's the folder? Oh, sorry, the folder is only on the project level. Okay, open folder in File Explorer. So this is the CS file, okay? But now if you go into bin, and then we go into debug, because we created that with this debug setting, here we see not only the general functions DLL file, we also see the 𝐻Scripts DLL file, and we see all the references that we added. So you see Tabular Editor X is also copied here, the Thumb wrapper is also there, and all these other Microsoft Analysis services and stuff. Yeah, so a bunch of things that this may be needed. But if we point Tabular Editor 2 to this file, then we'll have all the functionality. Yeah. So, but how do we do this? Okay. What we'll do is now we have this other one, copy macro. Okay, sorry, because I'm not really. This is something that we'll use so that it's easier later to copy the code from here to Tabular Editor, because otherwise it's a bit of a pain. So we'll just continue as if it's part of the setup, okay? And then we'll see why it's so beautiful. So here we have this other small procedure, and also says, okay, we need to paste some paths here. So here the full path to 𝐻Scripts DLL file, yeah? So pretty easy. So we'll go to that folder where we were, and here, depending, sometimes you might get, is there access path? You might get it already on right click, or if it doesn't show, you just go to shift right click, and you eventually will see it. Okay. Okay, yeah. You select it first and shift right click, and then you'll have all the options. Yeah, and you might also get it there. So I get the path. This one comes with double quotes, so select the whole thing. Very good. Yeah, and now we'll do the same for the CS files. Yeah, so here copy full path. This one that comes without double quotes, so just leave them there. Very good. Now we'll get the other one. Functions, copy full path. Okay, very good. Nice. And now we copy this code. Yeah, this is a bit dirty, but we'll get it nicer in a second. Now we go to tabularized. And we go to the C# script app, we paste this. And now the only tricky thing we need to do is to uncomment these 2 lines. Yes. This one is, I think maybe we need to delete this first one as well, just in case. And this, what we'll do is say, okay, I'm using this external reference that you don't know about, but I'm telling you now, this is a file that you need to do. So you need to add this reference. And then, I don't know why in C# you have to say, and I'm actually using it. Yeah? So you say like twice. And here and say, okay, from this scripting, then go to this class and get to this method. And that is passing 2 parameters. And what we'll do this is pass these 2 parameters to this longer procedure that we just saw. Yeah. And this is the one that will do all the magic for us. So if we execute this, boom, you see that already we have a small menu here that shows us a couple things. What is this? These are the procedures that we have on Visual Studio. Yeah. So they have the my script, which is something small, and the copy with DLL, which is the exact same procedure that we just copied. Let's see what happens if I copy this one. So I copy it, and then I delete this, and now I paste it, and I have already much nicer code. Yeah, here I don't have all these no copy things, and all the indenting is fixed for you. Oh, but we're getting the original version. Why is this happening? Because I didn't save. Okay, let's do it again. I don't know if I can go back here. Yeah, okay, nice. So now I'll do it again. This one, and I'll paste it. Okay, now I have everything. And this I can record as a macro. Yeah, and this is mine forever. And this is the only macro that we'll be using this DLL file. So anything else that we built from now on will be all contained. So it's a script that you can send to all your colleagues, like use this one, we'll solve your problems. Yeah, and here we can mark everything. We can mark just model maybe. This is just what elements will have the possibility of launching this macro. But this macro doesn't do anything to the model. So it doesn't really matter what you mark, but you need to mark something. Yeah. Anyway, I'll just leave it like this. And I'll call this get macro demo. Okay. So now I can, even if I have this deleted, I can just call this and boom, and I'll see always all the macros that I have on the Visual Studio file. Yeah. And let's see now, how is the coding experience in Visual Studio? So this is my script. It's something that I created. And let's try to build that calculation group. Yeah, let's not forget about the calculation group that we just set. Let's create a new one. Yeah, we need to call them as void because this is the macros don't return anything. Yeah, we just want to copy some code. Create max value calc group. Oh, I think Visual Studio expects methods to start with capital letter. Okay, it doesn't have any. Okay, good. And we open and close the keys. And here we'll type the code of our procedure. Okay. So what we need to do, we start easy and then we make things more complicated. So let's start from the beginning. We want to go and say, okay, we need to imagine that there's nothing in the model and we want to create that calculation group. So we'll go for model dot. And you see we have all calculation group. Yeah. Even if it doesn't really fit, it's very smart at finding out what you really want to do. Yeah, add calculation group. Okay, we just need to provide a name. For now, we'll just go, okay, labels. We'll try to recreate what we have. And C#, so we always need to add semicolon at the end. Alrighty. But of course, we need to store that so we can reference to that later on. So we'll say, okay, calculation group table CG equals this. Yeah. Here, if it doesn't complain, this means that this actually returns a calculation group table, which is what we store here in this CG. Yeah. And now I say, oh, maybe you don't need because I'm not doing anything with that. But now, if I go to CG dot, here what I could do is I want to change the name of the column, right? So we can go to columns. Here, this is always called name. So name dot name, and then equals, and then we can also call it labels. But now we need to create the calculation item. Yeah, so and then we say, okay, the CG dot add calculation item. And we just open, and it helps us so much. Yeah, so okay, what's the name and what's the expression? Okay. So here, what we can start doing is instead of hard coding stuff, we can just create variables. So string calc item name. We'll call this label max. Only max value, and string calc item expression. Yeah, and here is something that already I think it's important because I used to just start concatenating stuff, and this is complex. And much later, I discovered that there is some strings that if you start with an @ mark and then you put the quotes, then you can pass here almost anything and it will work. Yeah, so here, actually, first, this expression refers to the selected measure. So, okay, maybe this is not that tough, but it doesn't matter if we leave it like this. This is a calc item expression. But we'll do just a string and then calc item format string expression. Yeah, better long than cryptic. Okay, now again, and now here, I'll just go format string expression and I'll copy the whole thing. Okay, copy this and I paste it here. And you see, it's already very nice because it double my double quotes. So it is already something that is quite nice. And I can have like line breaks and everything. I can even put this here. So I understand my own code. Okay, here it's just complaining that I'm creating variables that nobody's using, but it's okay, because now we'll do. So now let's create that. So I can even like name and just so that it's clear what I'm doing. Calc item name. Good. And the expression is calc item expression. Yeah? It should be like obvious what you're doing. Now, but of course, I want to do more things with this calculation item. So like I did before, calculation item, which I'll call C item, equals this. Okay. Let me make this smaller. And now I'll go to the C item. And you see format string expression. And then this exactly calculate format string expression. Some of that might come because I do have the Copilot thing, but most of it already comes from even just Visual Studio. So none of this will happen if you use a tabular editor only to write code. So we already have this. Okay, this is good. And then we can even go to a C item. Well, and maybe we should start running code and see if things work. Yeah, we want to see some action. So what we'll do now is, normally what we would do is copy this code, bring it to tabular editor. Okay, but now we have this fancy new thing. So what we'll do is come here, macros, get macro, create max value. Okay. Now I go to script. Now I paste this, which already looks quite nice. Now I run it. And of course, since I already have a labels, it created it as labels 1, but already the column is correct, and it has already calculation item, and the value is correct, and the format string is correct. I do have some indenting problems here that I would like to solve. And of course, we want to start making it customizable. Yeah, I don't want to create this exact same calculation group every time. I want to, for example, change this part and this part. Yeah, because maybe I'm doing something on another column. Okay, so let's get to it, because otherwise I'll run out of time. How can we do that? This is that I was telling you that I used to start concatenating things and like, oh, and how should I take care of the date, you know, and the square bracket, and I was taking everything by my hand, and there's better ways to do that. So actually, there's a string.format function in which you pass the expression. Maybe I'll put that on the top. Okay, so we keep everything. We have this here. This is the first argument. But now we say, but actually, this tiny bit, I'll replace that with a placeholder. And it goes with a curly bracket and then 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Yeah, this should be 0 and this should be 1. And the rest of it will stay always the same. So now, after this first argument, we need to provide the contents of all these placeholders. So who is 0? Okay, 0 will be, well, right now, it will be this one, third country, and 1 will be just like a store. Yeah, but you see where I'm going. So we want to make this customizable. And here we can get to some other options. So there is a function that is called select table. Another one is called select column. Yeah, but there's even something even better that is called just selected, that you can access what the user has selected when it runs the macro. Yeah, so we'll use this one because it's much better. And then if we have time, we can try other things. So we will want people to run this macro on a column, and then it will create the calculation group that will get the value, the maximum value when that column is used for slicing in the visual. Okay, so we need to check that the user has one column selected. Yeah, and just one. We don't want to, at least for now, we don't want more columns. So, and we want to do that before we do anything else. So we'll come to the beginning, and then we'll go if, and then selected columns count.
There is a hint from Ken that the name of the store, there is one single quote left from copy paste, so it may not work. So
where is it?
I better say no.
Oh, good, nice.
Yeah.
That is good.
Thanks,
here I'm not
Ken.
sure why is this complaining. CG, because maybe I'm commenting something. Yeah, I have some problems here now, but it's okay. I'll fix them in a second. Thank you for that. Well, we'll replace that in a moment though. Okay, if this is different from 1, yeah, we can just throw an error. There's a function for that, error, and then we'll say you need to select 1 column only. Okay. And then right after that, return is like, this is the end of the story. Yeah? When you put a return, the execution finishes. Okay, so once we are here, we are sure that we only have 1 column selected. And then we can just say columns, column. We can put it in a variable, so it's a bit more clear what we're doing. Selected column equals selected dot. I'm not sure. You can just do that. Maybe yes. We don't. I'm not 100% sure. But now we have the column here. This is the column that was used. So now we can go and say, okay, this first one should be this, yeah, from the column that we have. And we can get this expression very easy. So it is selected column dot, and here we have DAX object full name. And this will take care of everything. It will pull the single quotes and all the square brackets, all the things. And now here, to get the store one, it's actually pretty easy as well, because selected column, no, not this one. Selected, yes, this one, dot, we can go to the table as well. We can go up, yeah? So from table, we can get the columns, and from columns, we can get the table. But then, of course, also DAX object full name as well. Yeah, so this will take care of using that in our expression. And now that we're here, we also saw that we had that problem with the formatting. So there's also something that we can do is 𝐸item dot format DAX. That will make beautiful DAX for us. Okay, so now we save. Now we go back. We get the code. This is the one. Okay, then I select everything and boom. And I have already my code. And let's see if it works. But now if I run it like this, it will throw the error. You need to select one. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, now I'll try to do it first with the same one. And then, so I select this and I run it.
El pollo grande.
Hello? So we can have a look at the expression, see if it's still working. Okay, this looks good to me. So store and store country, very good. But now, for instance, we could go and say, okay, from product, I want to do it by color. Yeah, so I'll slice by color and I want to see only the maximum value. So now I can run this here, but I can do something better. I can store that as a macro so that you can see. Now we don't want to, oh, sorry about that. I don't want to modify that. I'm not sure how I can do that. Control C, because I think that if I save it with a different name, I shouldn't have a problem. Let's say, so is max value calc group. And here I'll just leave the column marked because it's the only one that makes any sense. Okay. Okay, so I come here and I go to macros, max value calc group. Okay. And now I have a labels tree. Okay, now let's go to the expression editor. I go to the format string and boom, I have the color here, which is beautiful. So yeah, Bernard, but we're creating like a bunch of calculation groups and this is not the way it should work. And you are right. Okay, so I could go and fix this. Yeah, because here we're not even testing if the calculation group is already there. We just go ahead and create it. And that's why we're creating over again. I could write some code here to say, okay, if there is some table called labels, then use that one, otherwise create it and so on. But this is something that you probably will want to reuse in many scripts that you write, because this is something that I found myself writing over and over again. And here we get to the other interesting part of the presentation, at least from my point of view, which is this other thing. What is the general functions thing? General functions is a place where you can write your reusable code. Yeah. And then you can reference that from that script. And then when you copy the macro, it will copy the macro and that custom class right after it. So the script is still self-contained. And you don't have to worry about copying first that part and that other part, and then putting it together and then merging the references. And it's quite a lot of things that you have to do if you don't have that little script that we did before. So here, since we're using the script from the other side, we need to declare those as public static always. Okay, public static. And then here we can say this. We need to use the same type. This will return something. Will return either a calculation group just created or the calculation group that we already found on the model. So this is a calculation group table. Yeah. And the method is create or get calculation group. Something like that. Yeah, we'll do something very easy. Now, there is something that we need to do in Tabular Editor too, and therefore we'll do it always, just to make those things more compatible. This always, we need to pass the model as an argument. Otherwise, doesn't know what you're talking about. We say model dot something, like, no, who's model? Well, so we need to pass it, but it's okay. It's just model. Wait, no, this went too far. Here we'll just do it with the name, okay? You can make things more complex because maybe, I don't know, yeah, you want the user to choose whatever name they want, and then, but you can do it with annotations, but just for time constraints, I'll just go with the name string, and we'll call that calc group name. Okay, very good. So these are 2 arguments that we'll pass, and then we'll say, okay, if there's any table that is called like my calc group name, return that. Otherwise, return create a calculation group with that name. Okay. Now, so let's do this. And if, and then here we get to this link expressions, which are very, very powerful, like model dot, and then, yeah, if there's any table with that name, yeah, we'll go like that, any, and then here inside the any, we'll go with this is like the lambda expressions from Power Query. So if we have this T, imagine that is each of the tables of the model. Yeah. So now we'll use this T and the expression, say, okay, is there any expression that returns true? And then the expression is T dot name equals calc group name. Is there any table with that name? And then if that is true, that's the table that I want. And then we'll say, okay, return model tables where, yeah, and then we'll do the same thing. Yeah, there's probably better ways of doing it, but we'll just type it again. Name equals calc group name, and exactly, and we'll do just what we were shown, because this potentially could be more than one. Not really, because in a model you can only have one table, but from a language perspective, you could have more than one. Yeah, so here we have to put this first. And now we need to already fix it, because here we see this red line is okay, but this is returning a table, and we need to a calculation group table. So we need to do a cast here as calculation group table. But you see, there's so many things that are already happening for me. So beautiful. And else, okay, if there is none, then go ahead and create it for me. Yeah, and then we'll do, we just can go and then return model dot add calculation group name. Beautiful. Yeah, so you see, with that way we will not be creating over and over the calculation group. But now we want to use this function. How do we do that? Okay, we'll say this. Now here, oh, here I already have it uncommented. Yeah, but the thing is, here in this project, yeah, and we go to the references. In the projects, this needs to be marked, yeah, because this add the reference to the other project, yeah, so it knows it exists and it can use the methods they have. And now the other thing that we need to add is this at the beginning, yeah, so that the little script that we did before, it will say, oh, it's using the custom class, and it will go and pick the code for us. Yeah, so we need to remember this little thing. Yeah, now we add this, and instead of doing this, now we'll use our fancy new method, which is calculation group table equals, and then to refer to that, we need to use this. This class is called fx. I don't know. You can use something else if you want, but fx dot create or get calculation group. You see the IntelliSense is already picking this up, which is awesome. And now from here, say okay. And just labels, for instance. Boom. Okay, what's the problem now? There's no argument corresponds to the calc group. Oh, sorry, I forgot about the model. Okay, and we need to pass the model and the labels. If it's not clear, you can also write the different model is model, and if you start with one, then you need to name all the arguments. Calc group name. Yeah, this might be better for the next person that comes. Okay, now it's all nice. But you see, it warns everything. So even before executing, you can be almost sure that it will run. So let's save this. And let's see what happens when I do copy that now. Yeah, so I come here, model, macros, get macro demo, max calc group. Okay. Now I come here, I select everything, just to make clear, and I paste. And you see now I get my script, which is nice. But now I get also the public static class at the end. Yeah, which is awesome. And now let me just get rid of all the other calculation groups. Delete. And now I'll execute this one. Or better still, let me macros. If I say this, if I samples macros and I go to the wait, where is it? Max value calc group, yeah. And now I say, okay, now if I paste it here, I say I want to record it as a macro, then I can overwrite what I had, which is what I want to do. And now let's do it again. I have one that is max value only, but now I go to color, macros, and we go max value calc group. The action file, oh, sorry, name does not exist in that collection. Oh, I see. Okay, why did it happen? Because the first column is not called name anymore. Okay, no big deal. We could just, okay, we can if cg dot columns any, and then the C is the column. If C dot name equals name, then do the following. Okay, change it to labels, otherwise do nothing. Okay, very good. Now we save. Now we get the macro demo. Okay, now we already have our change here, yes. And we can save it as macro. Okay. And now we try again with color. Macros, max value calc group. Boom, we have our new calculation group item here. And let's have a look. And here's the selected measure, and the former single expression is using the color. Beautiful, isn't it? And let's see if it works, yeah, because otherwise it's really not no point. Now, okay, we need to refresh. No panic here. Okay, this is working, nice. Now we can create another one. We'll just create home, some table, and then we go from product, and then we go for color, and then we go to measures. I don't know what I put here. Oh, all right. I just want, oh, wait a minute. This is a field parameter. I'll copy this over there. And sync. Okay, still amount. I have just one. I actually didn't want a table. I want a chart. No. Yes. Okay. This one should become a chart. Okay. What happened? No to the legend. No to the x-axis. Very good. And I want sorted by color, so it's more fun to watch. Okay, and now I'll enable the data labels. Or data labels there. Okay, now I bring my data labels here to the, no, I need to select it first. We bring it here. And now max value, I don't remember which one. No, it's the other one. Max value only. What? It's not doing it, right? Why? Let's think. First, I don't know which is which. So this is not.
Is the max value further down if you scroll down, maybe?
Yeah. There's some other colors, you think? Oh.
Yeah, because it's
there it is. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, it was working. Very good. So it is working. Yeah, so it's awesome. So you should use it all the time. Yeah. We could, of course, fix this thing that you don't know what you're doing anymore, like I just did myself. So, but this is also quite easy. Here, you see we have a hard-coded string. This should not be the case. But we could say, okay, here we could say max value by, and then add here the column. But the column, where is it? Yeah, we have it here. So by, and then we concatenate with a plus, selected column dot name, for instance. And this will make it even better. Yeah. There is also the possibility to make a pop-up so that the user can actually type in the name that they want to use, and you can even suggest it. So you could use this name as a suggestion, and if they're fine, they just click OK, and if they want to change it, they have. For that, you'll need to use the Visual Basic extension. I have that in my blog. I don't want to extend too much, but how to write, I think it's called something like that. How to write, yeah, but the part 2, no, in part 1. Here it goes into detail and what you need to add in order to have interaction with the user. Yeah. Here, so we have select tables. Oh no, I didn't go all the way. Oh yeah, asking for a name. Here, you see, if we add this Microsoft Visual Basic, this will allow us to use this interaction.input box, and then you have prompt, title, default response, and whatever. And we can, it's much nicer because then the user feels in control, and you can make it work with everything. Yeah, and even here it goes into the yes or no, so and all these different ways of interacting with the user. Highly recommended. But today I think I'll have to cut here. But yeah, if you have questions, I would love to answer them. How was it? Did you get anything?
It's still hard to believe, as you said. I also never used C# before.
Yeah, me neither. But this is much better. I mean, I did Visual Basic before, and I was missing so much because the Visual Basic does help you a little bit. So, and I wasn't getting that experience in Tabular Editor, and I wasn't getting the ability of having a repository function. And I felt so miserable, you know, writing this checks every time and the message and so on. And you end up doing bad scripts because you can't be bothered to do everything perfect every time, right? So, but when you think that you're only going to type it once, then you get much better. Like, wait a minute, I'll put some extra parameter in case the user wants to do something else. I don't know. And you can extend it, you know, so you can build a method that works for your current use case. And then you come later, it's like, yeah, but I have some extra thing. And then you can add some, you know, some optional parameters that, if not specified, leave the behavior as it was before. And then you can use that in the code to do the extra thing that you needed. So it's really, really powerful. The only thing that people may not like is that once this custom class gets big, then of course your scripts are huge. But who cares? It's just code. I mean, the file will be okay, 20Ks instead of 2, but I don't care. I don't have to read it. So, and now, I mean, with that little script that it copies it for you, it makes it much easier because earlier I had to go and scroll down and get all the class and paste it underneath, and it looked bad, and it was good, but not that good. So I'm glad that I made this last thing, and this is the first time I'm showing it live. So yeah, I'll put that in the blog as well. And and I think now it's like it's a machine. But of course, there are not that many use cases for creating new scripts. But if you find one, now you have the tools to do it. Yeah, if you can think it, you can do it now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Rhea already left us, unfortunately, but she asked the question, is it possible with the Tabular Editor portable version?
Yeah, there is no restriction because
I wouldn't expect
probably the .exe file will be in another folder.
Okay.
But the DLL file is exactly in the same place. So the references will change a little bit, but that's it. No big deal. Yeah.
Cool stuff.
And
really another thing is as I watched, of course, for one use case, it's like, of course, it takes longer to take the code, to modify the code, than to just create the calculation groups manually. But the key is the reusability of it. And do you ever sort of creating an own external tool like like this? The auto measures or quick measures of 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸, but for calculation groups, where you can decide, should it be max, should it be something else?
Yeah. I don't know if I want the responsibility, when people come to like, oh, your tool is not working. Like, I don't know. I mean, I already give this repository so people can build their own thing. I thought of sharing my classes and so on, but I don't think that are so valuable and might be very overcomplicated for anyone, pretty much. I mean, because I start creating them and just pulling it longer and longer, and it's like, I don't know if it makes sense for me either. But I enjoy doing that, so that's why I do it.
I think it's quite interesting that when you think about using, as you mentioned, Arta, the concept of is it worth it for certain situations? Like, we often speak about automating a task, and it takes half an hour to automate it, but it takes 10 minutes to do it. But if you think about how many times you're actually going to use it over the course, then for me personally, that's always the barrier. They're thinking, okay, how much time am I actually going to save? But it's surprisingly fast how you get to that point where you are saving time. And also by doing, as you just displayed, Bernard, you also, for someone like me, learning a lot as well, actually starting to understand more about what you're doing, what you do when you're building that sort of thing. So I think it's certainly something that'll be worth it. So
but I mean, there are small use cases and big use cases that are worth it. So for me, the very simple ones are very useful. So like create a rows measured for each table, and then you can create then the sum ones and the average, the selected value, and the concatenate eggs and stuff. You can create those. But then another one that I'm using a lot and that I was able to write only because I was moving development into Visual Studio is the one of the referential integrity that will iterate over the relationships of the model and then check if there are orphan values on your fact table. So if it's a one-to-many, and I said, like, oh, you have 3 products on your fact table that are not in the product table. And that's why you're getting a blank. And then it will create a measure for you that will allow you to create a small table that will show you exactly who they are, and even put another measure, which already built, which will make a title for that. It's like 3 products are not mapped in the fact table, something like this. And that's really cool. And then you can create like a data controlling page. And
that is a good idea.
Yeah, and then it even has like another measure, which is the sum of all those. And then you have like, okay, 22. And another one will say you have 22 problems, and the problems are this, and then it will concatenate all those messages. So you have 3 products and 2 stores, and then so you can put it in a cart, and then you have all these things happening. Then you can see the detail, and since you have it also as a number, then you can create with another macro a button, a dynamic button that is invisible when it's blank, that error count, and boom, it eternally turns red with with white text saying, okay, you have some problems, go and click it. And only when that happens, the navigation is activated, and you click it, and then boom, it brings you to that sheet. This should be probably hidden normally. And
that's next level. I love it.
Yeah, it's all in the blog. So nothing. You can just go and do it.
I am a massive fan of your blog, as you may know, so I'll definitely be look at that.
Glad you are.
Yeah. Wow. Are there any more questions from anyone in the chat? Maybe
Brian asked about the Visual Studio Code. I think you don't.
I haven't managed to produce the DLL file. If you can get the DLL file, you can do it in Visual Studio Code.
I'm really pleased Brian asked that, because that's what I was thinking at the start, and I forgot about myself. So Brian, thank you very much for asking that, because that was the first thing that came to my head. Okay, cool.
I tried to answer that with the first slide, but yeah. It's okay.
Okay, then there was just a suggestion by Nick that you can also use the dollar letter for placeholders, and instead of this, the curly brackets. So
but how do you say the order? Because I like the numbers, because sometimes you reuse the same expression like in 2 or 3 places. So maybe it's $1, $2, $3.
Well, you can actually place your values straight into the code. So when you're reading the code, right? So if you pull back the Visual Studio, the script, you can see, as you're reading them. I mean, it's hard for me to talk. Yeah, if you go back. So essentially, you take out string format and you put a $sign in front of your verbatim. Yeah, so you take it out completely. And then you put a $sign before what we call a verbatim. So $sign there.
$sign. The add mark stays or goes?
Yeah, no, it stays. It stays. And now instead of your 0, you can actually put select column DEX object full name.
Where in here?
There. Yeah.
With the brackets or without them?
With brackets, yes.
With brackets. Yeah. The thing is, if I reuse the same thing in several places, maybe the other approach is better.
So it's just a suggestion. So when you're reading this code, right, and then you remove obviously, and then in one you put this selected. Yeah. So then when you're reading the code, and again, it's just a selection. I mean, this is all awesome. I'm not trying to.
No. It's very interesting. I appreciate that.
Sell you. Yeah. So now when you look at the code, okay, so max value of what? Okay, of the, and then all select of what?
Oh, makes sense. That is
interesting.
Nice.
So and there is also some advantages in terms of memory. So if it's very memory intensive, but this has nothing to do with. We are far away from that. But again, this is just the convenience. I mean, there are many ways to skin a cat, and this is one of them.
Indeed. Yeah, you see, I'm a total noob in C#, so I appreciate all these tips. Yeah.
Very cool.
Great. Yeah, okay, and then yes, this thing you just need the tabular editor to run this, and then to see it, because obviously all the editing stuff could be done with Visual Studio only, and I'm very interested what will happen with TDML and all the stuff. Where you can manipulate the code directly and then just use the tabular editor to compile.
Yeah, and if you eventually get to the Power Query, then there's also a new place to do stuff.
Yeah.
Because error capturing and so on, this is also very mechanic, and you might want to do it every time, but it's quite pain to do it manually. So yeah. We'll see where it goes.
But so cool already, and we'll definitely check your blog more often.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I think I linked it once before. I'll see if I can do it. Make sure I do it again at the very end. There, just so.
Looks.
If you are in Twitter, I also tweet a lot.
Exactly. 1 second. I'll try and also
thanks, Ben.
Link your Twitter as well. Is that okay? You link your Twitter, Ben?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Appreciate there you go. Awesome. Ben, thank you so much. That was really interesting. And I certainly learned a lot. Exactly. So if you're a newbie in C#, then what am I? And then even more, what am I? So it's like
no, but really, that was my will. Really, I didn't know, but I wanted to know. So that's what pulled me through. And I was there at the blog. I had at the GitHub from Tabular Editor, like asking stuff and Googling around until I got it working. Yeah,
it's a classic situation where you have something that you really want to solve. So you have this amazing use case, and you're okay, I need to learn, and you just dive straight into it, and you learn so much.
It was the time. First, I thought it was like too difficult. This is impossible. But then I saw Johnny Winter doing that script for the dynamic measure. I was like, hey, wait a minute. If he can do it, I can do it. And then I started, and then I was like, how come nobody has created the time intelligence script using the DAX-patterns.com definitions? It has to be done, and I could not stop until I got it working.
Yeah,
and that got me featured in Guy in a Cube. So
it's true.
It was worth it.
Yeah, true. Very cool. So everyone who joined in the chat asked all the questions. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for joining. I'm sure you did, because it was extremely insightful. This will be going onto our YouTube channel, so check that out if you want to play it back. I'll definitely be watching it back, going through it step by step for sure. Bernat, Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Much appreciated.
Thanks a
for
lot.
the opportunity.
Absolute pleasure. Cool.
All right.
So,
thank
you, everyone.
All the others, see you next time.
Exactly. See you next time.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
thanks.
Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Follow our group and
Yeah.
we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.